Hello, FlossTube, and welcome to Fairy Tales and French Knots. I'm Erin, and this is my channel about cross-stitch, where I talk long enough to make my family wonder what I'm up to, but short enough that you can watch this on your lunch break. If you're a returning visitor, thanks for coming back. And if this is your first visit, I hope you find something interesting. At any time, you can leave comments below, and I will answer them in future episodes. On that note, I don't always post videos regularly, so my channel has low emotional investment. At the same time, if you're looking for a quick answer to a question, I will probably have to reply in the comments rather than in a video if it's something time sensitive. So, it's the middle of July, and summer's being summer seems to be going much too quickly. I've got work, family stuff. My daughter's doing some summer camps through our school, which is great. She's also been spending some time home alone. That's what happens when you have Gen X parents who are totally okay with you being on your own. Because we remember being on our own and we turned out just fine, people. So, yeah, my daughter's been vacuuming for me, planning dinners, walking the dog, and being generally bored, but kind of useful. So that's a good thing. We've also had some home projects going on. Our basement was renovated. This house, when we bought it, had a family room in the basement that was carpeted with red and green plaid carpeting. So stylish. Just all the best decor ever. But I've always been a, this house has good bones kind of person. That's how my father raised me. So I looked at the house and I went, yeah, red and green carpet and lovely 1/8-inch plywood paneling, but we can make that work in the future. So we've had that renovated. It's now got vinyl laminate flooring. It's got better lighting. It's actually a place where my daughter wants to go and eat pizza and watch movies with the family. So good things happen in there. And we also had our driveway widened, well, had a parking spot added to the side of our driveway because we learned a couple years ago we got a huge snowstorm. My husband and I couldn't get our snowblower out because our driveway is narrow, and if one car is in the garage, you can't get anything out that's behind it. My husband was parked on the street. He got plowed in. Hopefully we've eliminated that problem in the future. We can both park in the driveway, get the garage open, get things out. So all those grown-up things that you hate thinking about. So let's talk about stitching. I have been getting some stitching done. Having an air-conditioned house is great because I can plop in my chair in the evenings and enjoy it. And I've been doing some finishing. So the first thing I finished, I'm not sure, I may have shown the needlework finishing part, but I did the finishing of Primitive Hare's Fracture Family. So here it is. There they are, my little folks. I made this into a drum, as you can see. I added some fabric in the back to make it the right width, so or I guess that would be circumference, so that the folks on the front are kind of on the front surface without being too curvy. And I'm not sure if you remember or if I've talked about this before, but this is not the complete piece. The complete piece has some words on the bottom, and it says, "Family, where life begins and love never ends." And given the current political situation in the US, and I do try to avoid politics on this YouTube channel, but in this case, I just have to say, I did not like the way that statement felt, given certain decisions that have been made and things that seem to be happening. I did not like the word family underneath a man and a woman. Yes, I am a cisgendered heterosexual woman married to a cisgendered heterosexual man, so this looks like us, and that's fine. But I know lots of families that don't start this way. And to say where life begins, again, I understand the figurative nature of that statement, and I don't disagree, but I also don't want to walk that line given what's been happening in the US. And then actually the final part of the statement, where love never ends, bothered me the most, I think, because I have several friends for whom love and family never went together. They've had really crummy family lives. And yes, we always talk about, families of choice versus families of blood and all of that. I didn't want to have to explain the quote on the bottom of a sampler for the rest of my life. So I cut it off. And I finished this as a drum. And what I thought was kind of ironic isn't the word, but fitting, is that the template that I used for the bottom and the top, actually, to get the round shape, was my grandmother's cookie jar. So, my family is all over this piece, how I feel about family and the family that I come from and love. And I did inside, I put a little piece of paper with my name, my mother's name, and my daughter's name, and, kind of a little mini family tree. So, when I'm dead and gone, if someone takes this apart and goes, "What's this?" I like leaving mysteries. So, anyway, that's how I made this. The bottom and the top are both mat board. This piece of mat board has one piece of batting on it. This one has a little mountain of batting on top. In the center of the drum, I used a bunch of old wooden thread spools, and I stacked them and glued them together, and then packed polyfill around it. So it's nice and firm. It's actually, it's solid. You can't really, you can't leave little pinch marks in it or anything. And then I attached the little charm that was an old necklace or something I think I got at a county fair or something. So this is my little fracture family drum, and I love it. I'm actually thinking about entering it in our county fair. Speaking of county fairs, I've never done that, and folks have always told me I should. The prize for winning is nothing special, but maybe it's time to put needlework back out there, even on the very small county fair circuit that would be my county. I mean, I'm in rural upstate New York, and my county is relatively small, so it isn't like it's going to the state fair or anything exciting, but it would be something different. Might just get some eyes on something new, which would be nice. The other thing that I stitched and finished is another small, and this is by Nikki's Creations. It's called Butterfly Kit, and it says kit. The only thing in the kit was 32 count fabric and the charm, and I think the finishing silk ribbon for finishing. All the flosses were DMC. So when I picked this kit up, I thought that those were pink DMC flosses. When I stitched it, I found out that they were browns. And I mean, I still love it. I still think it's very cute. And I did stitch it on 40 count because 40 count. I wanted it smaller. I did not like the 32 count fabric, and when I used 2 strands of DMC on it, it was just too, it didn't look right. The threads didn't lay the way I wanted them to. So I tossed it and found some 40 count in my stash. So I finished that, put him in a little bowl on my wall, and he's happy there. So those are my 2 finishes. In terms of my whips, and they are still here because whips never die. I was working on Ship's Manners Beautiful Sea, former Stitch Along, now just mine. Here is my progress on that. I got down into the octopus here. I added some beads up in here. Those were supposed to be little white X's, but I decided that green beads were both more interesting and sparkly and fun. I used one of those in the seahorse, and all the fishes that have eyes actually have green bead eyes instead of little white X's. So that's moving along. I'm getting, down to close to the bottom corner here. So I'd say it's about halfway done probably, and has gone back into the whip box. So I don't know if I'll get that out again in the near future, but I might, because it is in my Q snaps and it fits nicely. So there's kind of an incentive there to get that done. I also started another piece, and that would be Rami's Creations Spring Dolls Sewing Set. And I don't know if that's available on the market yet. It was a class that was taught at Celebrations of Needlework in May. So here is the pattern, and there are two little dolls. There's the purple and green one, which becomes a little thread bed or little floss drop kind of thing. It's got two little hearts to stitch on the back. And then the blue one is the scissor pocket. So I started with the blue one, partly because the purple and green one is my favorite, and I want to try the assembly on the one that isn't my favorite and make sure I get it right. So here is what I've got on her. So I have her back piece is done. I have to stitch the pocket and then assemble it. And the kit from Rami included all of her over-dyed flosses. There are 3 or 4 DMC colors that are from my stash. And the kit also included the backing fabrics and the Skirtex, which is the stabilizer to go inside. Now, I do think that I'm actually going to stitch the purple and green doll on 40 count, which means that the Skirtex will need to be cut down because it's designed for 28 count. But my plan is, if I stitch this one on 28 count, which is what this is, and then stitch the purple and green one on 40 count, she will fit into the pocket of her big sister. So I thought that'd be cute. And then, yeah, that's the whips I've got right now. There are more in the box, but they haven't been touched in a while. So those are my whips for the middle of July. Stash. What have I bought lately? Well, Amazon Prime happened, as I'm sure most of us know. I did not intend to buy stitching things until about 11:30 on the last day of Prime Day, the last few hours. I was looking at stuff, and I was thinking about these sewing doll kits here that I'm working on. And I thought, it'd be really nice to have a cute little pair of scissors to just leave in the doll. And I saw this great little pair. They had like some filigree work on them. And I thought, yeah, that's it. I'll buy them. And they were, only like a couple bucks, because they're certainly not Gingers or anything fancy. They're made in China, and there's bazillions of them floating around. But again, I just wanted something to leave in my little doll when she's done. So I ordered the scissors. They were like I said, like $4, I think. And I thought, they're so pretty. Here they are. Right? Kind of copper and black. The problem is, they're huge. I didn't check the measurements before I ordered them. And I was thinking, embroidery shears, they're small. I can fit 2 full fingers in there, which maybe as I get older, I will appreciate that. That's what I keep telling myself. But if you look at my little scissor doll, who does not have a pocket yet, but you can kind of see how big her pocket will be. Yeah, they're a little big for her. I mean, even if the pocket is a little longer than her, it could work. We'll see. We'll see what happens when I get it put together. But impulsive purchases don't always pay off, folks. So that is that stash. I have one new pattern that I've acquired, and I actually didn't buy it, which is kind of amazing. Many years ago, I went to a local needlework shop, and I bought this. It's The House by Bent Creek. It's called Gnome Place Like Home. And it's actually a set of 3 patterns. And in the bottom, or the first pattern is the border and the little gnomes in their living room watching Gnome and Garden TV, which is hilarious. And then there are, the 2 pieces above it. And the second piece is the dining room. So here's the dining room. And the third is the potting room. And there's the potting room, where the little gnomes are growing more flowers. So I got them, like I said, from a shop that's now gone out of business. And I thought about kitting them up earlier this month. And I looked, and both patterns in parts 2 and 3 are the same. They both say dinner's ready. So I have, it looks like from the front, it looks like I have 2 different patterns, but when you get to the pattern, I don't. And just on a whim, I sent an email to Bent Creek and figured, what the heck, I'll ask. Maybe they will let me buy just that pattern. I no longer have an LNS. It's gone out of business, so that wasn't an option. And I got an email back, and it was from, I don't know if it was, I think it's Elizabeth at Bent Creek. Nobody signed it, so I'm not sure who answered it, but they said, sure, send us your address and we'll send you the pattern. So they sent me for free the potting room. So I now have that full pattern set, and they included a freebie, which is the Starlight Berry Sampler. Also very cute and has little buttons and doodads in it. I'm actually thinking about doing just the top one and then making a little frame out of some of those. I have some pre-cut sticks that I got at a craft store years ago. So I'm thinking I'll make a little frame for it and put it in my 4th of July summer displays. Or I might do something different with the alphabet bands and make it say something other than the alphabet. So there it is. So I just have to say thank you to Bent Creek for being so accommodating and just so generous. I really, really appreciate that. And finally, in non-stitching stash, absolutely non-stitching, maybe tangentially related to stitching on a tangent. There, I will not try to invent words. We went to the New York State Fairy Festival, and I love the Fairy Festival. I love Renaissance fairs as well. But the Fairy Festival is a 2-day event in our area. It's very, it doesn't feel as commercial as a lot of Renaissance fairs, but there are still lots and lots of small business vendors and neat things that people make. My daughter wanted a skull painted with like airbrushed paints that was like $120. I told her no. But she's also really into, right now, she's really into snails. And she found at one of the vendors this adorable little necklace with a tiny, tiny snail. And it's a flame-worked piece of glass. It's really hard to get it to show up. There he is. And just super cute. And the woman who made them had an entire cart, an actual, like, it's supposed to look like a little gypsy kind of cart, full of flame-worked glass. And she did little mushrooms in tiny jars and little strawberries and little gnomes, actually, and then the snails like this. And I just kept thinking, as I was looking at this, that these would make really cool scissor fobs. And it was funny because I started talking to her, and she said, normally all of her shop signs are done in cross stitch, but this was kind of a last minute sign up for this fair, and she didn't get a chance to update some of her pricing. So she didn't have her cross stitch signs. But anyway, if you're interested in flame worked glass, and she actually just on Facebook posted a bunch of these adorable little like mushroom houses, and they're not any bigger than this, so they're probably like an inch or less, but they look like a mushroom with a little door, and all I could think of are like Smurf houses. Her shop name is Fairy Ring Glass, and I will link it below. I don't know how much she sells outside of fairs, because with those kinds of vendors, a lot of times they're either on the road or they're home for the winter. So if you see something you like, I think she said send her a message on Facebook. But at least go look, because her stuff is adorable and I think her photography is amazing too. So check out Fairy Ring Glass. And the other thing I got for myself, because I'm a grown up and I'm allowed, I got this nifty mug, which it has no handle, which is why I think it was less than all the other mugs in the shop. But whenever I fill it up with something and hold it like this, I feel like I'm in Rivendell and I should have elves and be on uh, uh, on some sort of adventure. So this is my nifty ceramic mug from Ash and Griffin Pottery, and they also have a website, and I will link that below. And they do have mugs with handles if you're a handle kind of person, and they have all kinds of tree of life things and different colors and different sizes and plates and bowls, and but I just think this is so pretty with its ring of vines on it, and I like the color, and it made me happy. So that's 20 minutes. Your lunch break is almost over. Get back to work, and I'll see you later. Bye.